I believe I deserve a round of applause for actually sitting down and watching The Unicorn Store. So this is for you, Raymond Hedgehold, because you actually paid me to watch this movie. So, yeah, I watched The Unicorn Store, which is Brie Larson's new movie, which is on Netflix. And I made it out alive. I actually didn't die during this movie, even though there were times that I wish I would. So let's go ahead and jump into this movie. And let me just start off by saying, and this is probably going to floor all of you, this movie wasn't completely horrible. There were actually some moments from this movie that weren't all that bad. And, you know, as I was watching this movie, okay, let me just say this. This is one of the most cringiest movies I've ever seen in my life. It was very, very cringy. There were lots of moments where I just rolled my eyes, and my eyeballs actually kind of hurt a little bit from how much I rolled my eyes during this movie. It was very contrived. The whimsicalness, the quirkiness, the weirdness of this movie was very contrived. It felt very forced, and you could definitely feel that as you're watching it. The whole thing with her being like a 28-year-old woman who apparently hasn't grown up yet was very weird. It was really weird to watch and super cringy at times. This movie should have been made for a younger audience. This movie doesn't really seem like the type of movie that would appeal very much to adults. I know it didn't really appeal to me. As I was watching, I was like, okay, this movie is like really boring and not very interesting. But they really should have made this movie for like young girls, like, I don't know, like 10-year-old girls. Brie Larson should not have been the main character in this movie. They should have had a younger actress playing the lead character, like maybe, I don't know, like a 12-year-old girl, because this movie felt like it was written for a 12-year-old girl, but Brie Larson was playing the main character, and she's like 28 or something in this movie, and it just felt very forced and weird, and it just did not make any sense. It was really cringy to watch. So this movie is kind of like supposed to be a coming-of-age story movie with a 20-year-old woman, and it was weird. It was very weird. Let me just say that. So, but like I said, underneath all the layers of cringe in this movie, it wasn't all that bad. There was potential for a good story here. The writing wasn't completely horrible. With that being said, the writing was also very basic. The storyline was very simple, straightforward, and all of that stuff, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but, you know, the writing, I would say, was for the most part, okay. And this had the potential to be a really good movie. If they had made some other creative decisions, this could have actually been a pretty interesting movie that I would actually probably watch with my daughter. But she's not going to be interested in this because it's like a 28-year-old woman, and this movie was very confusing because there were times where it was like trying to do weird stuff, like have her working in an office and doing weird stuff with that, and that would be really boring to like young girls. And then there were other times I had like unicorns and glitter and weird stuff like that, which would have appealed to younger girls. But you have like two different things clashing here, where some of it should have been made for like an older audience, and they should have just kind of stuck more with that. And then they had things that were kind of made more for a younger audience, and those two things were just kind of clashing throughout this entire movie, and it just made the movie, because of that, suffer. Brie Larson honestly was way more charismatic in this film than she ever was as Captain Marvel, which is not very hard to do. She had more emotion in this movie by far than she ever did in Captain Marvel, but at the same time, she was still pretty cringy for the most part. It's a very my emotions for this movie are just very confused, because there's so much potential for a good movie under all the layers of cringe, and I really wanted this movie to be done about half an hour into it. So yeah, it was, I don't know, it's not a good movie. I feel like that they were using all the glitter and whimsicalness of it to cover up for how crappy of a movie it is in a lot of ways, and I think they kind of were. Like, I feel like that they were using all the colorful paint and the glitter to cover up just how cheap of a story this is. And like I said, you know, if this movie had a different, if this movie was written for a younger audience, I think it would have been a little more passable. But because it has a 28-year-old woman in this film, I can't even tell if this movie is marketed to adults or kids. I seriously can't. I don't know what they were doing with this movie. Anyway, you know, like I said, I'm very confused by this movie. It's not worth checking out. It really isn't. This movie is not that great. I didn't really feel like I gained anything from this movie besides, you know, cringing a lot, pretty much. So definitely not worth checking out. There's a lot better movies out there to watch. I would say, you know, this movie isn't even worth watching with your kids or anything because they're not really going to be able to relate with this woman and stuff in this movie. So yeah, it's just one that your whole family can just pass right over, and you won't be missing anything. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this review, and yeah, I will talk to you all very soon in another video. I guess now you guys don't have to suffer through it or anything. If you were thinking about watching it, Raymond, this is for you. So yeah, with that being said, I will talk to you all very soon in another video. Talk to you later. Bye.